So once you have produced your site, have created the shell of it, the most substantial choice you have to make is your theme. The theme is more or less the template upon which the whole site is built. What it's going to do is drive the overall functionality as well as the aesthetic of the site. So from the aesthetic point of view, you can almost look at it as a collection of styling that all of your elements will be formatted to. Just like when we did Bootstrap and everything kind of has that Bootstrap look, that's sort of what this will do. But it's a little bit more beyond that, because it's where Bootstrap just formats the individual elements. This will format the overall page as well. So kind of the layout. Now, there will be flexibility within it, but some of it can be very nailed down, where like the home page always looks this way, or a certain other page always appears this way. Some of it will be a lot more flexible, and different themes have all sorts of different options, and different looks and variety of things. You'll find a lot of themes will be sort of targeted towards being like towards artists, or being towards commerce, or being towards business, or being active, or being natural themes or fashion. They'll have themes that kind of work better for certain like industries, and so some of them will also have these different functionalities built in, where it'll take your featured image and it will make it spin, or the title will be written out, or when you go on hover it does sparkles or something. That they sometimes add these other elements into it as well, some really interesting dynamic things that might draw you into wanting to use that theme. But really what it's going to do is it's going to be the base of your entire site. Is going to be based off of what that theme looks like, and everything's going to have that general look. Now, you will be able to break out of that to some degree. However, it is going to, at least initially by default, format it, just as like Bootstrap did. So where you would find the themes, we're not going to do it right now. You would just go to your appearance, and then you'll see themes. If I click on add new theme, you'll see that they will have all of these themes, okay? And more or less what they're doing is they're showing what the home page or the landing page would look like, and these are them. And like I said, there are thousands of them. What I would highly suggest is not doing it this way, where you just go in here and look for one, because that'll be cumbersome. You see latest block themes. You could do feature filter, like, oh, I want one that's good for blogs or food and drink. That has different features in it, where I can do full width templates, or it uses a grid, or it has these columns, right? So they have these options as well. But what I would actually choose is, instead of trying to do it this way, as I would go online, just go on Google or whatever your favorite search engine is, and look up, like if you're doing a portfolio site, be like, best WordPress themes for photography portfolios. And then you'll find like the top 10 WordPress themes for that specific thing. I would look online and try to do it that way, as opposed to trying to do it this way, because that'll be almost more filtered. It might be a little bit easier to navigate, as opposed to just scrolling for years and years. And obviously, this is right now by popularity. If you do latest, that's kind of a poop shoot, because you don't really know necessarily. It just means it's the latest one, right? And I feel like if you do popular, yes, it's going to be modern and trendy, but it also is going to feel sort of like generic, because it's probably what a lot of other people have as well. So sort of your choice, but I would just suggest trying to find one that way, as opposed to going online, as opposed to trying to do it within this as well. So you can see there's 7,000 of them right now, and obviously that number is constantly going up. Some get deprecated as well. So that's your theme. That's going to be the biggest decision that you make, and we're just going to install one in the next video. It'll take 2 seconds. The other thing you have to think about are plugins. So plugins are kind of like themes in a way. They don't generally, what they do is they just add functionality, right? So just as you can have any sort of plugin to any other program, this will just be a plugin for your site. They can either add functionality that the user sees on the front end, or it could be some functionality that you interact with as the designer on the back end. So it might be, for example, I'm going to have you guys download Elementor, where basically it's a WYSIWYG editor. It makes it easy to produce the web page, and you can do it from the front end very easy and cleanly. But this is meant to help you build a site, right? Another plugin that we're going to be using is duplicate post. So for instance, most of the time we've been making our web pages, right? When you make your second one, you just duplicate the first one because usually it's good to have consistency. And that's how I make all my web pages is I just use because I'm kind of doing the same thing for every page. By default, there is no duplicate button for your pages. So duplicate post will add that functionality. That's all it does. It literally just allows you to duplicate a page or a post. Posts and pages are the same. They just have a different tag associated with them. Anyway, so there's that, right? But then there might be another one that's like, animated text plugin, and you can apply it to an element, and then it will, on the front end, the user will see the text being animated, or shadow box video, and it'll add an element that you can have a video that will be shadow box when the user clicks on it, or something like that. More or less, they just add functionality. They can be other things too, where it could be something where it's a tracker, so it keeps track of how many people have visited your site. It can tell you from where people are visiting, like what countries. It could say how they got directed there, either directly or through different search engines, so on and so forth. So there's a million different plugins out there as well, and you would just find those. You just go to plugins. Currently, there's none in there. You just say add new plugin, and again, you're going to see a bunch in here. So I'd probably just go to popular, and you'll see some like we're going to be using Elementor. This one's for contact forms. This is to help with search engine optimization. Here's a commerce one, right? So you might, if you want to do selling, you're going to need a plugin that will allow you to do commerce, that will connect your bank account or like a PayPal account, that sort of stuff. Anti-spam ones. So you can look through and you can get an idea. Here's the one we're going to be using. Duplicate page. So there's a bunch of these out here that you can add, right? What I would probably do is kind of what I suggested with the themes is I wouldn't try to look for it here. I would suggest just scrolling through and see what's here and be like, oh, these are kind of neat. But you can see there are 54,000, almost 55,000 of these. But I would just go online and look up, like if there's something you're trying to utilize or create specifically, I would just go online and see if you can find what you're looking for there. More than likely, they already exist. And if it doesn't exist, it might be something where maybe you want to make one yourself. We do cover how to make a theme as well as how to make a plugin in web design too. Although we create very basic ones, it's just to get you the general idea. If you want to do anything advanced, you're going to have to go much farther into it. So anyways, those are the two things that those will be some of your first decisions. Once you kind of go with the theme, you kind of have to keep the theme the entire time, but you can always install more and more plugins, or uninstall plugins, or deactivate plugins. So you don't have to feel stuck with the plugins. You more than likely, once you choose a theme, you probably shouldn't switch it, because whatever work you've gotten done thus far might not look correct, or might have like issues when you switch to a different theme.